Talion is the protagonist from the Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War games. As a loyal Ranger of Gondor that was raised in Minas Tirith, he grew up through the ranks until he reached the rank of Captain of the Black Gate. But after the tragic demise of his family, and, well, himself, he was revived by Celebrimbor, a powerful wraith that was originally known for creating the Rings of Power. The two join forces and begin a quest for vengeance, seeking to kill all of those that were responsible for the death of his family, the Black Hand of Sauron. But how much do we actually know about this character? Let's have a detailed look into his story. So, despite being born as what is considered a lowborn in Gondor, Talion managed to fall in love with a noble lady named Loreth. Loreth actually fell for Talion, much to the disappointment of her father Halas, who was the captain of the Ranger division of Gondor's army. They soon married and Halas had to accept his daughter's choice. Loreth was later attacked by a noble of Gondor. Talion did not take kindly to this and defended his wife, accidentally killing the attacker in the process. He was labelled a criminal and his life then belonged to Gondor. Loreth begged her father and asked him not to turn Talion in, but he refused. It was only when she revealed to him that she was pregnant with Talion's child and that she would claim to be the one that killed the attacker out of self-defense did Halas eventually give up. Halas was soon offered the position of captain of the Rangers of the Black Gate, a notoriously dangerous position, but he accepted to protect Talion and his daughter. They soon moved there and Talion took up a position in the Rangers of Gondor that was stationed at the Black Gate, protecting Gondor from anything that would leave Mordor via its main entrance. It was here that Talion and his wife would raise their son, Durhyle. He taught his son all the necessary skills to become a soldier, even though his wife disapproved of this. On many occasions, the couple discussed leaving the Black Gate, Talion even asking permission from his father-in-law, who, of course, refused, leaving Loreth to suggest that they should leave anyway, as she had become fed up of hiding away at the Black Gate. At some point later, an attack was launched by Uruks from Mordor, later revealed to be the servants of Sauron. Talion and his son fought hard to hold back the Uruks, and then during a break in the battle, they left to go and find Loreth, so that they could protect her. Later finding her in the Great Hall, he insists she remains quiet so that they do not alert the enemies to their whereabouts. Talion then moves on ahead to clear a path through the Uruks. He gets to the last enemy in the hall when he hears his wife cry out from behind him. After turning around, he sees that Loreth is being held at sword point by a tall and very intimidating enemy. This enemy was later revealed to be known as the Tower of Sauron. The tower orders Talion to put his sword down, which he does. However, Talion is then ambushed by another enemy, the Hammer of Sauron. The hammer then beats Talion to within an inch of his life before being reminded that the Black Hand wants Talion kept alive. The tower orders Loreth to be taken away before Hammer strikes Talion in the head, after assuring his commander that he would survive. Talion wakes up at the Black Gate. His wife and son are also there. Surrounded by the enemy, the Black Hand arrives. The Hand draws his sword and cuts the throat of Loreth and Durhyle while chanting some sort of black speech. He turns his sword to Talion and repeats the process on him, letting him die before looking up to the dark and stormy sky and ordering the Elf Lord to come back to him. But soon, as I'm sure you already might have guessed, Talion wakes up, this time in the Wraith world, still surrounded by the bodies of his family. He picks up the shattered remains of his son's sword. Talion asks if he is dead, to which a mysterious wraith moving around in the shadows informs him that he has been banished from death. Talion then questions where in fact they are, to which the wraith responds by telling him to look for himself, revealing that they are in Mordor. The wraith goes on to explain that the two of them have been cursed, together, trapping them in a void between life and death, and to break the curse they will have to kill the one that cast it, the Black Hand of Sauron. Talion then goes on a mission battling the forces of Sauron and getting information on the Black Hand wherever he can. Before long he noticed that he was being followed by a strange creature. Talion and the wraith decided that they should track down this creature, and when they finally did, they were surprised to discover that this creature, who just so happens to be Gollum, could actually see not only Talion but the wraith as well. This is due to his prior connection to the One Ring. He refers to the wraith as the Bright Master. Gollum swears to help the Bright Master uncover any clues that may lead to information on his past. Gollum helps them discover that the wraith's true identity is Celebrimbor, the greatest elven smith from the Second Age, the elf that had been deceived by Sauron into creating the Rings of Power. In their search for the Black Hand, Talion allies himself with Hergon and his outcasts, who are a group of former Rangers of Gondor that left and settled in Mordor. He also allies himself with Ratbag the Coward, an orc who agrees to help Talion in exchange for his assistance in bringing Ratbag to the head of the orc military hierarchy. Talion agrees and helps Ratbag achieve the level of War Chief by killing each of his immediate superiors and allowing him to succeed them. Talion also assists Hergon and the outcasts in freeing other outcasts that have been enslaved by Sauron and his armies. He then ultimately leads a small force of outcasts to destroy a monument to Sauron, an act of defiance that was meant to draw out the Black Hand. However, the hammer of Sauron came instead. The hammer murders Ratbag and fights Talion, but is eventually killed by the ranger. Talion is then sought out by a warrior called Lithariel, the daughter of Queen Marwen, who claims she can help Celebrimbor with his mission. Marwen uses prophetic powers to guide Talion and Celebrimbor, and later on she advises them to use Celebrimbor's powers to take control of an army of orcs, and use that army to lead an assault against Sauron. Talion soon finds out that Marwen is being possessed by the wizard Saruman, and assists Lithariel in freeing her from her control. However, Talion still carries out Saruman's plans, and leads his army of mind-controlled orcs in an assault against the Black Hand's stronghold at Ered Glamhoth. Instead of the Black Hand, Talion finds the Tower of Sauron waiting for him. The two battle each other, and Talion again emerges as the victor. He then travels back to the Black Gate for one final confrontation with the Black Hand. However, the Black Hand incapacitates him with a spell that also restores the last of Celebrimbor's memories. He then kills himself as part of a ritual that pulls Celebrimbor from Talion's body and forces him to merge with the Black Hand. This allows Sauron to possess the Black Hand's body and reincarnate into a physical form. Celebrimbor is ultimately able to briefly paralyze Sauron from within, allowing Talion to destroy his physical form. With the Black Hand dead, Celebrimbor wishes to depart to Valinor, but Talion convinces him to stay and attempt to overthrow Sauron for good. Gazing at Mount Doom, Talion declares his intention to forge a new Ring of Power. So this brings us to the end of the first game and on to the events of the second installment, Shadow of War. So Talion and Celebrimbor have now forged a new ring, a really cool blue-looking ring. It's free of any corruption or connection to Sauron. However, not long after they finish the ring, Celebrimbor is abducted and held hostage by Shelob, who is now some sort of sexy, seductive woman. Yeah, you should probably head over to the History of Middle-earth channel and watch the video that is coming out the day after this one if you want that explained any further. So, Shelob tells Talion that she will hand over Celebrimbor in exchange for the new ring. He reluctantly agrees and hands over the ring. She tells him that they have a common enemy in Sauron. Shelob uses the ring's power to see into the future and guide Talion to the last Gondorian stronghold in Mordor, Minas Ithil, which is under attack from Sauron's forces due to it having a Palantir within the city. In the hands of Celebrimbor, a Palantir would be an extremely useful tool. In the hands of Sauron, it would become a very dangerous one. They decide to go to Minas Ithil, but before long the two begin to argue. Talion wishes to save his fellow Gondorians, but Celebrimbor believes it's too late for the city and says that the Palantir must take priority. Eventually they agree that if the city can be saved, the Palantir will also be safe. They meet up with some of the city's defenders, General Castamir, his daughter Idril, and the Lieutenant Baranor. Together, they fight against the orcs. This is until Castamir betrays them. He allows orcs to breach the gates and hands the Palantir over to the Witch King of Angmar. He did it to spare Idril's life. The Witch King then kills Castamir, and Talion barely manages to escape, thanks to the help from Eltariel, an elven assassin working on Galadriel's behalf. So the Witch King takes Minas Ithil and renames it Minas Morgul. Using his new Palantir, Sauron realizes that Shelob has a new Ring of Power in her possession and sends the Nazgul to attack her. Talion manages to save her, so she returns the ring to him and informs him that the fate of Middle-earth is now within his hands. No pressure. With the ring back in his possession, Talion begins to use its power to dominate orcs and build up his army. During this time, he assists Idril and Baranor in rescuing some Gondorian hostages. He helps the forest god Carnan defeat a Balrog named Tar Goroth, and helps Ratbag, who actually survived the attack from the Hammer of Sauron, defeat an Olog-hai named Bruise the Chopper, and he hunts Nazgul with the help of Eltariel. These Nazgul include Suladan, Helm Hammerhand, and Isildur. Yeah, once again, check out the video from History of Middle-earth tomorrow if you want to know what's going on there. Eventually, Talion builds up enough strength to attack Barad-dûr directly. It is during this attack that he faces and defeats Isildur, but after seeing his memories and how he was corrupted by the One Ring, decides to release his spirit instead of dominating him. This decision greatly angers Celebrimbor, who states that Isildur would have made a very powerful ally. Talion then realizes that Celebrimbor intends to replace Sauron by dominating him rather than destroying him. Talion refuses to follow Celebrimbor's orders anymore, causing the Wraith to abandon him and possess Eltariel instead. Without any connection to either Celebrimbor or the Ring, Talion begins to die, but is visited by Shelob in a vision. Shelob informs him that if Talion had actually gone on to fight Sauron, they would have succeeded and Celebrimbor would have enslaved Sauron and marched on the rest of Middle-earth. Deciding then to continue to fight the darkness within Mordor, Talion makes the decision to take up the ring that Isildur had been wearing in an attempt to save his own life. It works, and he uses the power to assault Minas Morgul, seizing it and defeating the Witch King. Then using the Palantir, Talion can see that Celebrimbor and Eltariel are confronting Sauron at the top of Barad-dûr. They gain the upper hand, but as Celebrimbor begins to dominate Sauron, Sauron cuts the ring finger off of Eltariel's hand, rendering them powerless. Sauron then merges himself with Celebrimbor, which results in the two being trapped in Sauron's tower in the form of a flaming eye as they continue to battle for dominance. Talion decides to use Minas Morgul as a fortress to keep Sauron's forces contained within Mordor. Many years later, Talion eventually succumbs to the corruption of the ring he took from Isildur, just as all other great men do. He then of course joins Sauron's forces as one of the Nazgûl. Then he joins the others in the hunt for Frodo and the One Ring. However, with the eventual destruction of Sauron and the ring, Talion dies with the rest of the Nazgûl and his spirit is freed. He is last seen in the afterlife, discarding his weapons and armour and walking off into the sunrise. So there we have it. That was a quick summary on the life of Talion. What do you guys think about him as a character? Do you like him, or would you prefer games based around canon characters? Let us know your thoughts on that in the comments down below. We really hope you enjoyed this video, and don't forget to check out the video on the changes to the lore over on the History of Middle-earth channel. Obviously, this channel is still brand new, so if you enjoyed the video, it would really help us out if you would like and subscribe. Thank you very much for watching, have a great day, and we will see you next time on Explore.